Welcome to Refresh Bible Summary Podcast, from Genesis to Revelation, one powerful summary at a time.
In each episode, we walk through a book of the Bible with dramatic, clear, and faith-filled storytelling designed for everyday listening.
We begin where all things begin. This is Genesis, the beginning of the world, the beginning of sin, and the beginning of God's redemption story. Episode 1. Genesis, the beginning of everything, and the first promise of redemption. Before there was a nation called Israel, before there was a law written on stone, before there was a tabernacle, a throne, a prophet, or a cross on a hill, there was the beginning. Genesis opens not with man, but with God, not with struggle, not with confusion, not with a battle between equal powers, but with the voice of the eternal God speaking into emptiness. He speaks, and light answers. He commands, and the sky stretches wide. He gathers waters, raises land, fills the seas, clothes the earth, sets the sun and moon in their places, and crowns creation with life. And then in a moment unlike any other, God creates man and woman in His image.
This is where the human story begins. Not in accident, not in meaninglessness, but in dignity, purpose, and closeness with God. Adam and Eve are placed in a garden of beauty and abundance. There is no fear there, no death, no shame, no war within the heart, only peace, fellowship, and the joy of walking with God. But in the middle of paradise stands a choice. And with that choice comes the first great tragedy of human history. The serpent enters with deception. He does not begin with force. He begins with a question, a distortion, a seed of doubt. Did God really say?
And that same whisper still echoes through every generation. Eve listens, Adam follows. They take what was forbidden. And in that act, sin enters the world like a storm through an open gate. Their eyes are opened, but not into glory, into shame, into fear, into hiding. The man and woman who once walked freely with God now cover themselves and tremble at His voice. This is the fall. And from that moment on, the human race carries a fracture deep within itself. The heart is no longer whole. Creation is no longer untouched. Pain enters childbirth. Sweat enters labor. Conflict enters relationships. Death enters the human story.
And yet, even here, Genesis does not leave us in darkness. For in the midst of judgment, God speaks a promise. A day will come when the seed of the woman will crush the serpent's head. It is only a whisper at first, a shadow, a line spoken into the wreckage. But it is the first promise that evil will not reign forever. Genesis is not only the book of beginnings, it is the book where redemption first appears on the horizon. The story moves forward, but sin grows quickly. Cain rises against Abel. Brother kills brother. Violence spreads across the earth. The world that began in beauty fills with corruption. Human wickedness becomes so deep, so widespread that judgment must come.
And so the flood arrives. But even in judgment, mercy stands afloat. Noah finds grace in the eyes of the Lord. While the world collapses under waters of justice, God preserves a remnant through the ark. This is the pattern that Genesis begins to reveal. Judgment, yes, but also rescue. Holiness, yes, but also mercy. God is not indifferent to evil, but neither is He unwilling to save. When the waters recede, the earth begins again. Yet the problem has not been washed out of the human heart. Noah survives the flood, but human weakness remains. The nations multiply, but pride rises again. At Babel, humanity tries once more to exalt itself, to build upward without God, to make a name for itself by its own strength. And once again, the human family is scattered. Languages divide, nations spread, the earth fills with peoples and tribes,